streets, you have to lock them up, and you have to keep them locked up.
Governor, as you guys
Mayor, let the mayor answer that one.
the governor existing section 3 to new section 11. I believe there's some amendments in here. Hope it's not a whole. All right, it's not too bad today. A few amendments, 7 amendments in here today that we'll read as we get through the presentation today. For those who are watching, those here, yes, it is one day for the time we are here. We just need to get these dollars out the door. As you all know, we've had, this delay is not a city council delay, nor administration delay. This is delay because of everything that's going on in the federal government. We were late to get these numbers. The department worked, overtime, in my opinion, to pull things together to get it to us. Unfortunately, people who are watching, it just doesn't come and we just throw it on. There's a process that has to happen, and as soon as we were able to throw this on, that's why we're here on the Thursday. And so as soon as I had the green light, once this body received everything it needed to have a proper hearing, we brought this team together to hear the ordinance today, which we will do. It is abbreviated agenda, so we can focus on the high-level aspects of the ordinance that is before us, again, so we can get these dollars out the door. I know folks are waiting on these dollars, and we want to make sure that we don't, further delay. Waiting till next week would have not. I would have not wanted to wait till next week. If we waited to Tuesday, our regular committee day, that would put us back another week. And so, once we got through this week, we added on for today, so that way it can be heard and potentially passed on Monday at the Finance Committee. All right. And so I will be quiet there. I'll let the director, the chief, open up with whatever remarks they'd like to share with council. Thank you.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman Harrison, Vice Chair Santana, and members of the Development Planning and nope, we're going to start over. We're going to start over because we're not doing that today. Of the Development Planning and Sustainability Committee, and to members of the public. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Department of Community Development's 2025-26 HUD entitlement budget. Our goal today is to receive your approval to expend the nearly $28 million in Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, funds by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, and get these much-needed dollars out to the community to benefit City of Cleveland residents and neighborhoods. Before we get into the details, I want to begin with a moment of reflection. This has been a difficult year and a sobering year for our department, for our partners, and for Cleveland's broader community development ecosystem. The vast majority of our funding comes from a single federal source, the Community Development Block Grant Program through HUD. For more than 50 years, CDBG has provided the foundation for local investments in housing, neighborhood revitalization, and essential community services. But over this past year, we have faced prolonged federal uncertainties, shutdown threats, an actual shutdown, the longest to date, and continuing resolutions and potential cuts that directly affect our operations and, more importantly, the residents that we serve. We spent much of the first half of the year not knowing if or how much funding we would receive. That uncertainty makes it difficult to hire and retain staff, and it takes a toll on morale. I want to take a moment to recognize the incredible women and men of the Department of Community Development who continue to show up every single day with professionalism, compassion, and resolve. This year also brought us deep personal loss. Late last year, we lost Tim Barrett, a stalwart of the storefront renovation program and a champion for small business corridors across Cleveland. And this past August, we lost Ellen Baker, a young professional whose light and leadership inspired so many of us. Their absence is felt deeply. We honor their legacy by continuing the work they loved, building neighborhoods of opportunity for every Cleveland resident. Despite these challenges, our department continues to make meaningful progress towards our mission, creating quality housing and vibrant neighborhoods that serve as the foundation for generational wealth and community prosperity. For program year 2025-26, Cleveland anticipates receiving $19.46 million in CDBG funds, $4.25 million in home funds, $1.76 million in ESG, that's Emergency Solutions Grant, and $2.37 million in HAPWA. HAPWA is housing for persons with living with AIDS, totaling just under $28 million in HUD formula grants. Every dollar is targeted to sustain the programs that matter most: home repair and lead hazard mitigation that allow residents to remain safely in their homes, investments to the Housing Trust Fund to make affordable housing development viable, neighborhood development activities and citywide assistance grants that keep our CDC partner strong, as well as other nonprofits, and public service programs that provide food, shelter, and essential support for Clevelanders in need. While our federal resources have remained flat or declined slightly, we have refused to stand still. Under Mayor Bibb's leadership, we are pursuing a bold and forward-thinking vision for equitable development and thriving neighborhoods in every corner of the city. The mayor's passion for innovation and impact is guiding how we modernize city systems, build trust, and deliver results. Over the past year, we have launched a series of transformative initiatives to make our work more effective and resident-centered. My team will talk a little bit more about each of these, but I wanted to give a brief highlight of some of our major accomplishments for the year. Contract modernization and streamlining. In partnership with Urban AI, we are digitizing and templatizing our contract process to make city contracting faster, more transparent, and more predictable for grantees and partners. We're redesigning home repair with technology, working with the Bloomberg Sustainable Cities I-Team. We are reimagining the homeowner experience, integrating civic design and new technology to make applications simpler, communication clearer, and turnaround times shorter. Our implementation vendor model. This year, we're scaling up a home repair through a new model that brings in qualified vendors directly to manage and complete repairs. This approach integrates lead mitigation, third-party risk assessment, with the goal of really getting more housing repair done. That is the best and simplest way to state what we need to do. It's reshaping how Cleveland delivers critical housing improvements. The Housing Development and CHIF, so the Cleveland Housing Investment Fund, which to date is a $38 million partnership between the city, LISC Fund Management, and KeyBank as our anchor investor. We're unlocking new opportunities for affordable and mixed income housing. 10 projects are already in the pipeline, valued at over $35 million in Cleveland Housing Investment Fund investment. We've broken ground already on the Walton Apartments in Ward 14, new senior housing that reflects the needs of our aging population, and in Parkside Homes, which will deliver 55 lease purchase homes for working families. These projects are evidence that Cleveland is innovating. We are blending public resources with private capital, integrating health and housing through our new MOU with the Department of Public Health, and aligning our strategies with national best practices. We even hosted a Fair Housing Day this year at Metro Health's Opportunity Center to keep our focus on equitable outcomes for every Cleveland resident. At the same time, the Housing Development Office supported over 275 new residential units this past year, and our asset redevelopment team successfully led RFPs, requests for proposals, for catalytic sites like McCafferty and Gracemount, continuing to turn vision into action across multiple wards. So while this year has tested us, and it has, it has also shown what Cleveland can accomplish when we work together with discipline, creativity, and purpose. As we enter into this new budget year, we remain focused on the guiding principles of our 10-year housing plan, equitable housing plan, expanding affordability, preserving existing housing, and ensuring that every neighborhood has a pathway to stability and growth. Chairman Hairston and members of the committee, I want to thank you for your continued partnership and for your belief in this work. The Department of Community Development is committed to transparency, accountability, and collaboration as we move forward. Even in a year marked by challenge, I remain hopeful. Hopeful because of the strength of our people, the leadership of this administration and this council, and the shared determination across the city to make Cleveland a place where every resident can thrive. I thank you and look forward to discussing our budget and answering any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Director. Thank you for your remarks and open statement. As you mentioned, you know, we've come a long way. We've done some great things together, and we look forward to working with your department, you know, as we move into 2026. Great team around you. I remember when she first came on with that smile sitting in the back, and I'm like, that's what we need, you know. And you know, your other team members who've been here.
They smile too.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You know, but Danette had that infectious smile when she walked in that room. But again, no, you have a great team that's sitting behind you and here at the table who's doing some great work. All right, we'll jump into the presentation, and just for the committee and those who are watching, we'll go through the presentation, and then we'll follow up with questions. But if there's something that's pressing that you truly need clarification on as we move through the presentation, please stop me and we will have your question answered. Okay? All right, Director.
Thank you. So I'd like to spend this opportunity to take a little bit of time to just talk about kind of the wide breadth of what community development does. Thank you. And so we, through all of our funding sources, we work with subrecipients and partners. We do programs that are direct to residents and recipients. And we also have other programs that are more administrative in nature. So I just want to ground folks, and especially the public, who may not be aware of all of the things that community development is involved in this city. I'll talk a bit about our structure. We have the department kind of divided by two. And so our first half is under 3 bureaus, which is Program Operations Bureau, our Community Programming Bureau, and Residential Improvement Bureau. You will hear from these fierce women beside me who are the senior leadership team of the Department of Community Development. But I wanted to, again, give a broad picture of the work that we do. The other side of the department is Housing Development Bureau, Enterprise Operations Bureau, and our Neighborhood Revitalization Bureau. And again, you'll hear from each of our bureau chiefs on what they do. I wanted to briefly talk about some of our current initiatives. We are, as I mentioned in my opening statement, working through contract modernization and streamlining. We're redesigning our home repair process. We are working with an implementation vendor, which Danette will talk about in a little bit. We have welcomed 2 Fuse Fellows. This is a national program that Erin Miller-Tate will talk about in a little bit, as well as our financial empowerment. And as already mentioned, the Cleveland Housing Investment Fund. I want to talk briefly about some of our accomplishments this year. We've fully transitioned all of our applications to Power Apps. We have signed an MOU with the Department of Public Health to serve families of children with elevated blood lead levels. We have hosted our Fair Housing Day. This is the second year we've done that. Last year we hosted here in the People's House, but this year we took it out to the communities where we felt like where it needed to be. We have raised additional dollars. As you may recall, this council and administration put forward $18 million of ARPA last year to seed the Cleveland Housing Investment Fund, of which we are already seeing the fruits of that. That has already more than doubled initially with that $20 million investment from Key Bank. And now we have even more investment partners and successful projects. As mentioned earlier, and I know Trudy Andreski will talk more about this later, some of the requests for proposals that we have led. And overall, we've supported development of over 275 new residential units through the Housing Development Fund. I would like to turn it over to Erin Miller-Tate, who's going to talk about some of our national initiatives and trainings that reflect really a new way, I believe, of doing business, gaining support not just from within the city, but from across the nation, and helping us to determine what our best practices are. Erin?
Thank you, Director. So we have had several really exciting opportunities over the last year to learn collectively as a group and with folks in the community to examine some of the interconnected issues around housing, around land, and around equity. And these experiences are really informing our work on a policy level. First of all, the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, we have a couple of programs with them. First is our City Start initiative. That is our financial empowerment blueprint, and we expect that blueprint to be released in February. It is an integrated blueprint that really digs into lots of different corners of work in the city and puts out a vision for how to kind of collectively kind of bring that work together and bring it to the residents as tools for individual economic mobility as well as generational wealth building. We also have our Bank On program, which continues to work to connect residents with safe and affordable checking accounts. We've got lots of data on how important participation in that banking system is, and we're working really hard to connect more folks and decrease our unbanked rates. Excuse me, the Fuse Fellows, these are both funded by Living Cities. We have two fellows, one working on housing capital and one working on housing equity. The Housing Capital Fellow has the goal of sort of mapping out the available banking, lending, investment products, and then where they sit, where they go in Cleveland neighborhoods. So how are we getting more resources, more mortgages into underserved neighborhoods, historically excluded neighborhoods? We've all seen the redlining map. We know where those loans need to go. We're working really hard to work with our banks to get them there. Our Housing Equity Fellow will be working on a refresh/revision of the 10-year housing equity plan. I'm sure many of you have seen the plan and see the many ways in which it falls short and doesn't really provide the guidance and vision that we need to achieve our housing goals. So that's going to be something that will be worked on over the next year. The partnership with Living Cities really brought a tremendous amount of technical assistance and access to funding to our department as we thought through things like housing equity. We do have coming up on December 2nd, we will be sharing the results of a study that Living Cities helped us to fund using a consultant who's done some really great analysis of tax land assessed value. Land, I never put those words in the right order. The point is that what we are finding is that our lower value properties are being overassessed and our higher value properties are being underassessed, which means that no one is paying the right amount of taxes and we're leaving tax dollars on the table. So looking at that to figure out how we can use that to inform policy going forward. An additional piece of that that I'm personally really excited about is how we use that information then to inform all of this other stuff, right? So it's all kind of connected. The financial empowerment of our residents, how much they owe in taxes, how we help them get through this challenging period as their taxes increase. All of that kind of works hand in hand, and my team is really excited about that. Finally, Bureau Chief Trudy Andreski and I are part of a collaborative learning team that will be exploring community land trusts. And how we use community land trusts as a way of leveraging our vacant land and helping residents get access to equity when maybe traditional homeownership is not the answer. And so we will be working with some other organizations in the community, the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, to kind of think about how we can use that vacant land in community land trusts to build permanently affordable housing. So all of that, I think you can see it's all kind of interconnected and really just trying to pull on these national resources and use that information and expertise to guide our work.
I also like to turn on the microphone. Thank you. Would also like to just talk about some of the key terms and definitions. I will not show the video like I did last year that talks about the process, but I do think it is important to understand the appropriation process and how we get here, how we get to the nearly $28 million that's funded. I also understand that some of this work is pretty jargony. We use a lot of terms and definitions that people in their everyday language really just don't use, and so I'd like to just I know everyone here around the table is familiar with these terms, but I do think it's important to kind of describe some of the alphabet soup that is our work. Some of the ones that come up probably least often are things like the national objective, and these are required to spend any federal dollars. You have to hit one of the 3 national objectives, and that could be low to moderate income, which is typically what we are using in the city of Cleveland, but it could also be something like the elimination of slum and blight. And also there's some emergent needs. They all have different requirements. So for example, emergent need has 4 different criteria. We hardly use that, but this past few weeks where we didn't know what was happening with our with SNAP and federal food aid, we looked into is this an emergency? Is this considered an emergency for HUD? And could we kick in different dollars? So that's some of the work. That's why these things matter, because even though we don't typically use it, I have not found evidence that we've used the emergency function in the city of Cleveland, but we have it and we can use that, and that has some different rules and regulations around it. And so, again, just to use this as a moment for a little bit of education. All right, so we will get into our budget overview, and we will talk at the highest levels at this point. So there are several different line items that make up, or categories, I should say, that make up the entitlement budget for our formula allocation. And just as a note, Cleveland is the 8th largest entitlement of the Department of Housing and Urban Development for CDBG, for Community Development Block Grant. And we are not the 8th largest city. And so part of what makes up this formula is the population, like the actual number of people, but also what percentage of the population is in poverty or very low income. We know that we have a city that has a pretty tremendous amount of residents that are in the very low income category, and that's what makes that's what kicks up Cleveland as one of the higher amounts for this formula grant. So these categories are Community Development Block Grant, which is our largest, broadest category. And for this year, that is $19,386,114. I know numbers. For the next category, we have, and that's a slight reduction from last year. We have our home funds, and that is just over $4 million. And that was actually increased slightly this year. We have ESG, which is Emergency Solutions Grant. These are funds that support our unhoused neighbors. And for that, there was also a very slight increase, and that is $1,008,042 and some change. And then finally, our housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, and this is directly to help house our brothers and sisters that are living with HIV/AIDS. and that is slightly down in that category this year, for an overall slight decrease in just over 1.5%. In our estimation, we consider this pretty much flat funding from last year, which, quite frankly, where we were at the beginning of the year is a blessing. So these are the overall funds that we are seeking to get out into the community here. I'd like to turn it over and talk about residential improvement, and so I'm turning it over to our smiley friend, also known as Bureau Chief Danette Davis, who will speak to us about how she has helped to transform what is housing improvement, residential improvement in this city where our home repair primarily sits. Danette?
Good morning. The Bureau of Residential Improvement oversees a diverse portfolio of housing repair programs that serve the Cleveland residents each year. Some of those programs include our Senior Homeowner Assistance Program, also known as SHAP. This program provides essential home repairs for low-income seniors that are homeowners to help them remain safely in their homes. We also have our Only Loan Program, Repair Home, also known as RA, which offers affordable loans to families for home improvement that address safety and code violations that has been issued for the homes. We have a program, Model Block, a strategic investment initiative that rehabilitates the exteriors of homes in targeted areas to remove slum and blight. Our Healthy Homes program, which focuses on addressing health and safety hazards such as accessibility issues, fall hazards, mold, and fire safety. We have a paint program, which also assists homeowners with exterior paint, labor work to preserve property values and sustain the structures of the homes. We also have 2 lead programs that service both the city-wide as well as a strategically planned area directly. Lastly, we have a few sub-grant programs that includes emergency specialized home repairs for furnaces and hot water tanks, as well as gutters. These programs were developed to strengthen housing stability, preserve aging homes, and sustain neighborhood integrity across city wards. However, in 2024, we fundamentally redefined how the department approaches home repair. We recognize the residents' needs and the broader service landscape has changed significantly. The previous structure, which operated through isolated program silos, was no longer sustainable or effective. At that time, our contractor pool had dropped to just below 7 contractors across all programs. And despite maintaining a year-round open application process for contractors, we could not increase or retain qualified contractors. Moreover, after years of accepting applications on a year-round basis, we had over 2,000 submissions awaiting service and stagnant production. Some of these key changes that we needed to make was affecting contractor payments, fragmented technology in our delivery of our service, and insufficient data visibility. To course correct, we shifted from a program-by-program approach to a holistic model, one that evaluates the total condition of the home rather than addressing single repairs. This transformation required modernization of our infrastructure and redefining how we deliver services. In 2024, Community Development launched Power Apps Platform, a centralized digital system for application management, compliance tracking, and payment processing. This technology gave staff and partners real-time visibility into every phase of the project delivery. Upon migration, it became clear that approximately 1,300 of the more than 2,000 applicants in the database had never advanced to service, underscoring the urgent need to reform. To move this reformation forward, we are actively collaborating with Urban AI, which is Urban Analytics and Innovation Department, Bloomberg's I-Team of Civic Design, to enhance the platform's design and workflow. This is a user and human-centered redesign that improves functionality and minimizes submission delays. In 2025, we initiated an application pause to review and verify existing applications for eligibility and completeness, to eliminate inactive and duplicated records, to improve accuracy, transparency, and communication with residents and CD partners, and to align staff and contractor resources with realistic production capacity. This pause allowed the Bureau to reset its internal systems and to reestablish equitable, efficient, and intake to service the pipeline that we need to service residents. In June of 2025, the department entered into a contract with a dedicated implementation vendor, functioning as a general contractor to expand productivity, capacity, and to manage construction activity. The city retains responsibility for intake, eligibility determination, compliance oversight, and final reporting, while the implementation vendor oversees construction management and contract operations. Some key core tasks that the implementation vendor is responsible for is managing single comprehensive construction contractors with subcontractors, recruitment and sustainability of qualified contracting pools, overseeing the process of contractor payments, developing standardized scopes of works and pricings for the jobs to be done, maintaining accountability for timeliness, quality, and compliance with the HUD requirements that we must follow. The overarching goal is to increase overall unit production and streamline job delivery. Results to date: we have approximately 15 lead contractors in our pool, 8 non-lead contractors, 5 risk assessors under a rotating system. We have given approximately a total of 87 total projects assigned to the implementation vendor, 27 which is under contract and construction right now as we speak. Direct payment process through the implementation vendor is eliminating any payment delays to our contractors. Looking forward, the Bureau's work in 2024 through 2025 have laid the groundwork for a long-term transformation. We now operate from a modernized system with transparency processes, accountability with partners, and stronger community outcomes. The years ahead will focus on maintaining production momentum, refining workflows, and ensuring that every program, whether led, healthy homes, or senior repair, advances our shared mission: safety, healthy homes, and sustainable homes for every Cleveland resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Bureau Chief. Just as a note, we are not where we want to be because we are not closed out on those homes, but we are certainly headed in the right direction, and we are much closer than we have been in probably a generation to actually accomplishing our goals of getting as many of our residents the desperately needed home repair. And we are so confident and that in this pathway that we have also convinced HUD to give us an additional year on each of our competitive 3 grants. These are the grants that had been struggling and were at risk of needing to send money back because of the progress that we had not made. But given our new process, our new partnerships, the just vast amount of the evidence of work that we have done that has led us through, they are confident enough in us to give us more time to get these dollars out. So all 3 of our competitive grants have now received additional time so that we can spend that money, and we're certainly headed in the right direction.
Sure, thank you, Director. Can you, for the folks who are watching, can you tell everyone what the 3 competitive grants are?
Yes, Danette, thank you.
Chief? Press it again.
You gotta mean it.
Gotta mean it. We have 2 lead grants, high impact neighborhood grant, we have a citywide lead grant, and we have the Healthy Homes Production Grant.
So you have 2 lead grants, 2
Two lead grants and one Healthy Homes grant.
1 healthy home grant. And the 2 lead grants, are those neighborhood specific or are they citywide?
So the lead grant is citywide. Most recently, part of the expanding, the initial grant for the high-impact neighborhood was focused on specifically the Glenville neighborhood. We have expanded that to cover more of the east side. We went into 7 wards instead of census tracts due to the population decrease in those areas.
Gotcha. What are the 7 wards that you all are expanding that high impact granting?
I believe it's most of the east side.
It's most of the east side. It is wards 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The remaining wards will be taken care of through our citywide grant, which service the remaining of the city.
Okay, just so that we're clear for the folks, you got 2 lead grants, 1 citywide, and 1 was initially specifically for Glenville, but you've expanded that to cover east side wards.
Correct.
And the other one is a Healthy Home Initiative grant.
Correct.
And what is the Healthy Home Initiative grant?
The Healthy Home Initiative.
I know what it is, but just for the folks who watch.
It focuses on healthy aspects of your home. Is there, what hazards do you have? Is there mold? Is there fire safety, trip hazards, things like that? That is the focus of that grant. That grant is not a home repair grant. It's more of a maintenance grant.
All right, sounds good. For the committee, since that was a lot of information we received, and we want to, while it's on our mind, we can take questions from the committee regarding the Chapter 3 residential improvement that Bureau Chief Davis has shared with us.
Mr. Chair, on this point.
Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, on this point, when did HUD agree to the 1-year extension?
HUD, through the chair, HUD, it was when the grants ended. So just as one grant ended, right before it ended, we got approval. So I believe at the end of May, we received approval. In
September.
and then just maybe a week ago.
Yes.
And so through the chair, were those extensions agreed to those dates? Was it 1 year from May, 1 year from September, 1 year from November, or was it 1 year from program end, add a year to the program?
Through the chair, those are both the same thing.
They were timed the same way?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank you, Chair.
You sure? Because you don't.
No, that was only on that point.
Okay.
That wasn't on that point. That was my only question on that point.
All right. Well, you can continue if you have questions, just general line of questions on this topic.
I will hold my question.
Okay, Councilwoman House Jones.
So I had a initial question when we were talking about the national work that was going on, specifically as it relates to the department doing the work. As you indicated, there had been overvaluing of low-value homes and undervaluing of higher-value homes. So based on this work, what is the process and what is the estimated time to correct that? Like I said, I have been sharing just the frustration specifically of what's going on in the Huff neighborhood. And so what is our timeline to really working to address this? Because financial institutions are getting it wrong. I feel like, who is it, adjuster? What are they called? The people that do the assessments of the land? What are they called? Appraisers. Appraisers, yes. I mean, it's not working specifically in Huff. So what is our timeline to try to correct this?
Thank you, Councilwoman, through the chair. I think that there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and we've sort of just received this data. The hope is that these consultants will help us conceptualize what policy might look like. Like, how do we use this, now that we know this information, what do we need to do to change the information? And so the valuation happens at the county level, not at the city level, but we are working in partnership with the county to kind of process this data and understand it. Part of what will happen when this data gets presented is that we're gonna discuss it in the context of appraisal bias. And obviously, yes, I see your face. Yeah, for sure. And so putting those two things together, we have some bank partners that are working on this issue, that are trying to figure out how to train appraisers and how to like build the appraisal workforce so that it's more diverse and has more sort of broader knowledge and understanding of the community within the appraisal system. I don't have an answer for you on timeline. I think part of what I would really look forward to is the opportunity to work with council to figure out what this means for legislation. How do we get this moving in a way that now we have all this information, we need to figure out what to do to fix this problem, and we can't do it without you. So I would very much look forward to those conversations.
Through the chair, we're hoping to bring in the group that did the study is called Urban 3. And so we are looking at dates now by the end of the year. I think we're looking
December
somewhere in
2nd, I
December,
think is gonna
December
be the
2nd,
date.
where we're going to have some kind of, I don't want to call it a roundtable. We're still working out those details, but we are going to host a summit where they're able to present this information and we're able to ask these questions about what then can be done about this.
Okay, so through the chair, to the team here, thank you for that. So even without the data, I was going to say, like, someone like myself has been speakingly saying, I knew this was the case. Even without the data, I knew it. I have been expressing it in various different ways. And I would just say, just to summarize, is I would like to work on this with you. I believe we don't have the luxury to wait years to put forth legislation. We need to put forth legislation next year at some point, start somewhere, right? Because it is intolerable. People are just losing out with generational opportunities because of what is happening, because of the real bias that is happening. And so I'll leave that there. But thank you for that. But we do need to set some expectations. I think for ourselves, we need to set a deadline, a timeline of something where we are going to put forth legislation. Regarding the work with community land trusts, have you worked with any community land trusts within the city, or have these just been conversations in City Hall? And of course, I'm lifting up the Huff Community Land Trust. What does that look like?
We're actually missing a meeting right now with the Huff Community Land Trust to be here.
Okay, all right, cool. And then on the home repair side, through the chair to the team, what is our goal for, because it's in the 2025-2026 programmatic year. Have we set up some goals of how many, based on the allocation of resources that we have, how many do we want to get accomplished?
Through the chair, to Councilwoman House Jones, yes, we plan on doing approximately 100 houses with the funding.
And so I think this is really important. This is why we really have to communicate to people, right? So if we have talked about, and this was 100 home repair, and then we talked about there were 2,000 applications just in the waiting, right? This is a thing of why I just really feel like community members are so frustrated, because people who look at the city of Cleveland as, I'm gonna be able to get my home fixed. I'm gonna get a grant to get my home fixed. If there are 2,000, I mean, even right now, so this is the question. Based on that reality, our goal is to get 100 done within this programmatic year. Will we be even opening up applications when we still have 2,000 in the backlog?
We are still, through the chair, we are still going through that process. Danette alluded to needing to have this pause, needing to stop what has historically been done, which is a rolling application. I remember sitting at this committee, and Councilmember Joe Jones was saying, why do we have a rolling application system? And the reality was, at that time, I wasn't sure why we did. It just was historically what had been done in the department. As we look to review our processes, we said we have got to stop. We are oversubscribed. We know that we are oversubscribed, and we are not managing expectations for our residents who believe that once they submit an application at any level of doneness, that they will get help. And that is just not the reality because we don't have enough resources at a reasonable time in a year or two. So we are working closely with our comms department. We are working closely with our implementation vendor. We are working closely with other partners who also have home repair projects to better get these folks categorized. But we also need to do some of these other things that we talked about, like having a good data system. When you don't have everything in one place, it's hard to categorize and make sure that we know the status at any given time. So that's the really hard work, and that's why we've asked for a reprieve and some pause while we get that together. So we are figuring out the best way to communicate that with residents, and it will probably look like a waiting list, but we're still working on it. We want to make sure that we have clean data before we start making database decisions. We don't want to use junk data to make decisions.
Okay, so the chair to the director and team, I'm just going to put on, I just think if we're talking about, it is probably statistically likely that if we had 2,000 applications in any form or fashion from however many, how many years back do those applications go?
Through 2020, so the past
Okay.
5 years. Through
Right. So statistically speaking, I just think we just need to make real decisions, and like statistically speaking, there are definitely 100 applications that meet the criteria in here, right? Probably like 1,000. So if we know this, and I'm talking statistically, not the data, is statistically speaking, why to even put an illusion out there that we are going to take more applications so that you can be 1,001, like this, that just don't make no sense to me. So I'm trying to figure out at what point are we going to have the decision that we're not taking any more applications at this time because we just need to get it in order? And at what point then, where do we feel like we're planning out to say, this is when we think we'll be ready and capable and have real resources to open up the home repair application? When is that decision going to be made?
Through the chair, that decision is going to be made very soon as we are fully assessing that data and have an online system where we can see everything. We really need to have good information to make those decisions. We also don't want to leave folks in a lurch. There are other programs, whether they're directly through us or through some of our partners. So we are working hard to make sure that we are not saying, sorry, better luck next time. We are saying, here's a partner that may be able to help you in this process. It's also important for us to get good information because right now I can't tell you exactly how much money I need to fulfill everybody who's eligible, or who could be eligible for our programs. I can't tell you that right now. That's part of the information that we need to do this analysis on so that I can come to funders, I can come to council, and I can say, we need X amount of millions of dollars. We can do this many a year. This is how we're gonna get through this. I cannot tell you that right now.
Right, and then so the last question, through the chair to the director and team, when do we anticipate being able to have this analysis of data? What is the expected date for that?
Through the chair by the end of the year.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I think you would be a great fit to work with the department on that legislation that Bureau Chief Miller Tate spoke about. So I guess I'll ask you to kind of work with her and figure out, with the information we have, how do we turn it to legislation that can be helpful for our residents. All right, thank you. Any other questions for Chief Davis? Okay. Yes.
I mean, you want to assess questions based on the presentation that already happened, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair, to the Chair, to the Director, and to the staff. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your remarks. Really quick, I'm not sure if I missed this, but what was the allocation for previous year compared to now? Did we lose funding?
Through the chair, yes, we did lose funding slightly. Overall, we are down by 1.52%. So in some categories, we raised up, in some, we went down. So yes, there was a slight difference. We consider, in a $28 million pot, we consider that nearly flat funded.
Okay. My next question, you talked about us being 8th recipient in the city of Cleveland because of poverty. I'm curious to know, I mean, just reviewing this budget, I'm sorry I can't see this one because the older you get, you know, the more blind you are. Do you feel, Director, to the chair, that this is a budget that is going to help residents get out of this poverty eventually? I feel like we've been receiving funding every year. Every time we're knocking on doors, we're talking to residents that really are just not, making ends meet. And there's so much need in these households. So I'm curious to know, I know you put this budget together, your department. Is it something that reflects helping residents get out of poverty?
Through the chair, it is certainly helping residents. $28 million is nothing to, nothing to balk at. But our level of need far exceeds $28 million. When we look at home repair, housing, any single one of our areas, our bureaus, could use $28 million to help to make that difference. And we have a dozen areas. So no, this is not a poverty solution, but this does help tremendously. And what we have to do is we have to be more innovative. We have to grow the pie. We cannot rely on a singular source of community development block grant, because if next year they decide that program is no more, what happens with all of the good work that has been going on? What happens to home repair? What happens to being able to fund some of these studies? So we need to work more on what Aaron was talking about with these national organizations to try to attract additional dollars, whether that's in actual grant dollars or whether that is in technical assistance. But we are going to need additional dollars. We need to grow that pie. There is just there's no way around that. We do not solve poverty on $28 million in the city of Cleveland.
And I'm just, I guess, curious, just the way it's allocated with the $28 million, are we doing the best that we can with that $28 million and the allocations for the right category to help residents get out of poverty?
Through the chair, given the dollars that we have, we are doing our best with these categories. Actually, thank you for this point. I wanted to note that the way that we have done the budget over the past few years is we take the overall amount, the overall dollars, that nearly $28 million, and we look at the percentage per line item, and we basically copy that percentage from year to year. Mm-hmm. The only difference this year is like the storefront renovation program that is now out of the Department of Economic Development, and so that's going to get funded in a different way. So those dollars have been reallocated where we believe we need them the most, which is home repair, because of this conversation that we have just been having over these last two questions.
Got it. Thank you. And then my last question through the chair is contractors. I know I get approached constantly. Contractors want to get hired by the city of Cleveland. They reach out to us. What is the challenge? Why can't we find good contractors from the city of Cleveland?
Through the chair, there are, like any issue, there are many challenges. There's a workforce issue. There's an aging workforce issue, right? Our plumbers and HVAC folks, their knees aren't so good anymore. They have aged, and so it's really tough. Those skills are just, folks aren't going to trade school right now at the level that we need for the level of repair that we need. So in part, it's that. The other part is working with federal dollars and public dollars, I will say in general, even general fund. There are certain requirements and restrictions that we have on those dollars that are not easy. It is much easier to work in the private market where it's just homeowner to that contractor. And it's also probably the level of work that we need. When we are going in for some of these home repairs, which we think is maybe a home repair, it ends up being a home rehab, we may need 3 or 4 different trades, and that further complicates. The deferred maintenance is bad. Our aging housing stock is bad. It's kind of a perfect storm of need and not really having the expertise in the community. What happens is you have maybe 10 qualified, I'm speaking in very general terms now. If we have 10 qualified contractors, how many of them are going to want to do the additional work to work in the city of Cleveland, right? To deal with some of our process. So what we've done to help this is we said, okay, what are the issues? We know that these mom and pop contractors need to have some technical assistance. Let's get them some technical assistance. The implementation vendor is helping to do that. We know that they need to be paid. They often don't have a line of credit that is strong enough to do a full project, wait for a reimbursement. So with our implementation vendor, the implementation vendor actually gives them an advance of a certain percent. Then when they get to a certain level of completion, they get more dollars, and when they fully complete out the job, they get the balance of that. It's a completely different system. So through that, we've been able to increase tremendously. I have come to this table and said that there was a low of two contractors. And now we have dozens of contractors. In some of the reporting that I got earlier this year, there was about 100 in the pipeline of folks that were interested. So we've really turned the tide on that. But our ability to actually do these home repairs, to get hammer and nails, is strained by all of those many things. Danette, is there anything quick to add on that?
You got it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. We'll continue with the presentation.
All right, so I will take, I know I don't look like Tony Bengo. It is because I am not Tony Bengo.
You look better.
When we wish him luck, he recently left our team, and he is working with a partner organization, IFF, which is a great organization, and we thank him for the work that he has done to really transform this area. So this year, there's $3.6 million. 2.8 million of those dollars are allowed to go to a non-CHODO, and 600,000 has to go to a CHODO, of which I believe there are 2 within the city. I believe Famicos is a CHODO, as well as CHN. So those dollars, according to this funding source, need to go to one of those organizations, where the rest of it can go elsewhere to projects.
Director, for folks who are listening, can you explain what CHODO is?
I certainly can, because Danette is going to look it up. And
Community Housing Development Organization.
Thank you.
we will add that, Chairman, to our list of definitions. Sometimes the alphabet soup gets me too. So with these funds, our mission is to create and preserve quality, equitable housing across all of Cleveland's neighborhoods. And we do that by administering these funds, as well as local housing funds. This Bureau also manages our tax abatement program. We support both affordable and market rate housing through these programs. Our goal is to just help get new housing, right? Every time we are getting a new housing unit in place, we are impacting a family. And so we talk in terms of units, but it is important for us to realize that for every one unit, that is, for every one new unit, that's at least 30 years, hopefully 100 years of a safe place for families to be raised in. And these new homes also come lead-free. Which is a big deal for the city of Cleveland. Our goal is to help spark the market And for projects that would otherwise not be able to be completed, these dollars help to inject a little bit of hope into our communities by getting these projects actually completed to completion. Some of the amazing things that have happened through this bureau is the Cleveland Housing Investment Fund, of which I know many of you know about, and some of you have already seen some projects come through in your neighborhood. I was in your neighborhood last week as we broke ground for Walton Senior. We also have done other housing on primarily the east side, or solely on the east side, in our Woodhill homes. So this was the Choice Neighborhood Grant. So Woodhill Homes, Phase 1 and 2, as well as Garrett Square Senior Apartments and Blanket Mills Project, which I actually just got to go visit because I visited Councilwoman Santana's local CDC that is now housed in the ground floor of that beautiful space. And so overall, that means over 275 new units through this work for the Housing Trust Fund has come through, as well as countless dollars in savings through our tax abatement program, which is, again, one of the most generous tax abatement programs in the country.
Director, can I get a question? Sure. Do you have like an amount of how much this 3.6 leverages with all total investment for all these projects taking place?
Through the chair, I believe we do. I want to get you the most accurate figure that I can, but again, these dollars, to your point, and to my earlier point about growing the pie, these dollars go in, and it's usually not a major part, right? Because you can't do a whole lot with 3.6 million, but that means it leverages all of these other dollars, whether that's philanthropic, other federal dollars, other programs. So it does help, and we know that this is one of the best returns on investment.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right, we keep rolling.
All right, I would like to turn it over to Erin Miller-Tate, who's going to talk about her bureau, which is community programming.
Thank you, Director. And just for context, my bureau is sort of administratively funded out of the Community Development Block Grant, so I don't have like specific numbers of buildings and things like that I have to report as accomplishments. However, I like to think we've accomplished quite a bit in the last little while. As far as the Middle Neighborhoods program goes, we are finally able to get our ducks in a row to hire a program manager. So we will be, we're currently onboarding someone who will play that role as senior specialist. They will be developing and promoting programs to strategically support home ownership and home value stabilization in the middle neighborhoods. Our financial empowerment work also supports a staff person who will be project managing and implementing the recommendations that come out of that financial empowerment blueprint that I was discussing earlier. I'd like to sort of point to something that Councilwoman Santana said. Thinking about the problem of poverty, it is not ours to fix alone. And really the goal of that financial empowerment blueprint was to really reach into all of the corners of the city's work and think about how we can leverage that to improve our residents' economic mobility. So we're working with Greater Cleveland Works. We're working with our prevention, intervention, and opportunity team. How can we get youth more engaged in their own financial empowerment and their financial stability in the long term? So this is kind of a whole team effort. That, like I said, will be released in February 2026. That role is a little bit different than it has been in the past. It had been previously paired with our bank relations manager. The two tasks have kind of separated, where I am temporarily taking on more of the bank relations work, and the financial empowerment manager is really doing more engagement with the community, so getting them out into the neighborhoods to assess needs and help connect them to banking resources and financial resources. Also, we have in my bureau the offices of Fair Housing and Consumer Affairs. We are in the process of modernizing these two offices. We're working on developing a CRM system so that they can better manage their cases. They can better collect evidence in claims of discrimination or bad business practices. And then we're also working with the law department to enforce these laws. So we have not, up until now, really had an effective system of enforcing our Fair Housing or Consumer Protection Code. And then lastly is our community engagement team. These are two teams. One team is funded by general fund dollars, but the funds that come from the CDBG work for our regional engagement specialists. Those are the folks that are stationed here at City Hall. And while a lot of those teams' work has historically focused on our home repair applications and helping support land bank applications, during this time when both of those application processes are paused, we're really taking the opportunity to work strategically and think about how we can better measure our impact and do work that really gets all of our bureaus and all of our departments' work out into the community.
And partners as well.
And partners, yes, for sure.
Next, I would like to introduce Trudy Andreski, who after 4 years, I finally know your name, your last name, and can say it on a microphone. And Trudy is our Bureau Chief for Neighborhood Revitalization, and she is going to talk about the two areas of her bureau.
Thank you, Director, and good morning, everyone. Similar to Erin's comment, I just wanted to preface this by saying our two offices in neighborhood revitalization don't directly contract out or expend federal funds, but so much of our work is directly aligned with it. For example, through asset redevelopment, a lot of the projects that we help facilitate will apply for home funds. And then similarly with land bank, we partner, for example, with Public Works for a CDBG contract to help maintain a lot of those properties. So there's a lot of alignment, obviously, but I similarly don't have direct accomplishments related to these federal funding sources. With the Asset Redevelopment Office, this is our third year in operation. We administer proactive, public, and transparent redevelopment opportunities for our city-owned land. Currently, I support a team of one full-time staff member and one Cleveland Public Service fellow. As the director mentioned earlier, our team sadly got smaller this summer, but we have endured, and we're planning to restaff up come 2026. We're a solid, smart, and really energetic team that I'm really proud to work with. We've been through thick and thin together this fall, but we're glad to be dedicated to this work, so thank you for your support. We're currently managing redevelopment opportunities that span 7 different sites. Those total approximately 25 acres of surplus real estate across multiple wards. We project manage all of those projects. So one example is we've entered into or renewed MOUs and site access agreements with 5 development teams this year. That includes 3 minority business enterprises who will either own or co-own their developments. These projects are proposing to bring approximately 360 units of affordable and mixed-income housing to Cleveland. That totals approximately $117 million of proposed investment to Cleveland neighborhoods. We've also engaged with over 170 development firms and approximately 250 individual contacts through our developer feedback forms, our developer distribution lists. So through our marketing, press releases, and webpage, we've attracted a lot of new interest from firms who are either emerging and growing their capacity in the development field or are established and looking to enter the Cleveland market for the first time. We also strongly value our direct partnerships with neighborhood-based external agencies. This year alone, we've worked directly with entities like the Harvard Community Services Center, Slavic Village Development, Ohio City Incorporated, the Cleveland Restoration Society, and several neighborhood-based social service agencies on our redevelopment opportunities, and that could include anything from conceptualizing an opportunity from the onset to supporting community engagement, and so on. And then taking a quick moment to celebrate, in June and October, we were able to be part of 2 ribbon cuttings for projects that were initiated through the Asset Redevelopment Office. Hawthorne is an adaptive reuse of a former elementary school that had been closed over 10 years ago. We put that out through our 2022-ish school sites RFQ, and that opened in June. And then the Thurgood Marshall Green in Councilwoman House Jones' office is also a former school site, vacant land that is now an incredible public space in Cleveland's Huff neighborhood.
We got one of the best parks in Cleveland. So come on through.
We are currently strategizing our 2026 redevelopment opportunities. We're aligning those priority sites with the Ohio Housing Finance Agency's 2026-2027 QAP to make sure that we can take advantage of some of the competitive funding sources that would be available to these projects, and then also ensuring we're aligning with other broader citywide initiatives and goals. So please do reach out to us as a resource and partner on some of the larger scale city-owned vacant land sites in your ward if you're interested in collaborating. The next couple of months would be a great time to do that, and I will similarly be reaching out to many of you on those projects as well. I'll shift briefly to the Land Bank office. So in addition to heading up the Asset Redevelopment Office, as of mid-2023, I also have the honor to work on improvements to our legacy Land Bank program. The Land Bank office consists of a powerhouse of 3 women who this year alone have processed, as of last Friday, over 1,175 applications. I am honored to work with them. They have all been at the city for many, many years and are just, again, I would consider them powerhouses. We know that there's so much opportunity for improving the way that the Land Bank program functions and its ability to meet our broader city goals of supporting existing residents, increasing housing supply, and supporting nature-based solutions that can help us further our city's climate resiliency efforts. This work is hard, but we know we can do it, and we're on our way to something that I really believe that we can all be proud of. A few quick highlights on this past year. 2025 was our first year being fully online. This process started in 2024, and we've had great support from our engagement specialists on Erin's team that are housed within City Hall and at CDCs who are directly assisting applicants with that transition. It's been really critical work. As a next step, We've worked hard on application improvements that will help streamline and simplify that process for 2026. This will include launching a new Salesforce-based application and processing system. If you've spoken with a new land bank applicant in the past 3 months too, my hope is that you'll be pleased with the findings. We've dramatically increased our communication efforts via updated FAQs, more proactive email outreach on status updates, as well as phone response times. So we now have an accountability system in place where individuals who call are receiving a call back from our team within 48 hours, and that's typically significantly less. A quick aside, as partners for you all at the table, that given the legislated timelines for council review periods of land bank applications, by the end of next week, you'll have every application that you can expect to review in this calendar year. So thanks in advance for your attention to those to help us, get them across the finish line. And then I also wanted to share that thanks to Cleveland City Council, this is kind of a pivot of energy. Our land bank was established via Ordinance 2076-76, passed October 25th, 1976. So therefore, next year we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary of the City Land Bank, and I'm really looking forward to taking that opportunity to celebrate. In addition to the new application and Salesforce launch that will occur early next year, we're planning a series of initiatives, posts, communications to help us celebrate and share the improvements that we're working very hard to make, but also acknowledge a lot of the accomplishments over the past 50 years. So we're really looking forward to that. So with that, thank you. I have the opportunity to interact with many of you on a regular basis through this work, and I look forward to continuing and expanding our partnerships. I'd be happy to answer any questions or requests you might have of me regarding either office.
Thank you. Thank you. Great work as always. Always responsive, and really try to find ways to address issues that council members have. There's only one person in this building that has been around as long as came in 1 year after this land bank was established, and he's been here ever since. So I'm sure he can appreciate, and I'm sure he'll be a part of this anniversary. No, just kidding. But any questions from the committee regarding? Yes.
Thank you, Trudy. And I will tell you that the process has been cleaner, smoother this year. So thank you to you and your staff. I'm curious to know, 1,000 vacant lots were approved. How many vacant lots do we have to date overall? And then how much revenue is this vacant lot process
Sure.
generating?
Council, through the chair to Councilwoman Santana, we've processed over 1,175 applications. About 30% of those are approved. And so that's a big component of this transition too. So I just want to clarify that before shifting to your other question. Huge limitation of our current system is that a lot of these applications are closed out because we're not receiving site plans. But in this new application process, we will get that information up front. So we've been working really hard to improve our follow-up and communication with applicants to ensure they're not closed out for a silly reason like that. But that's just some clarity on the application approval rates. How many parcels are in our inventory? I think the last record I have is August, but I can look that up literally when I go back to my desk. It was just over 18,400 parcels. And then as far as revenue, as of October 28th, I think is the last date that we recorded deeds with the county, and we were around $460,000 in revenue this year. One thing that I do want to point out is that we do not have access to those revenue funds. It would help us immensely in being able to support applicants who are in need of support with lot split surveys, any of our attempts to proactively, provide trees, for example, to residents who are getting a side yard. Having access to those funds instead of them going back into the general fund would be immensely helpful to us, and I think would really amplify the impact that we're able to make. So I just wanted to point that out as something that I'd love to talk with you all more about in the coming months.
Thank you for that, because we do get a request, like, could you help with a fence, right? So thank you for sharing that. We definitely could talk about that. I think it's a great plan. Thank you, Trudy.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Before we go to Councilman Harsh, when you all send those lots that are whatever what we're going to receive for the year to approved, can you send each council member any outstanding lots or applications that you have not received a response?
Sure.
As a last and final call, for input.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we can do that, and I'll aim to do that Friday of next week.
Okay.
That'll be kind of the deadline when that 45-day period will no longer be in 2025. So that's the date that's kind of our trigger before ward boundaries change, and that, just complicates the way things have been processed. And so, yes, we will send out that list to every council member by next Friday.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify one thing.
Yes.
The land bank, there was supposed to be a director 4 years ago, and it was sort of floating around, and then there was one, and then the other, blah, blah, blah. Is there a director for the land bank right now, or is that just part of your duties through the chair?
Through the chair to Councilman Harsh, our tenured staff, Lindale Hinton, is currently the interim manager of the land bank.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right. See no further questions, we'll continue.
So our final bureau is the Bureau of Enterprise Operations, and this is really the backbone operations of our department. I like to talk about government as having a front of the house and a back of the house. This largely represents the back of the house, helps to support all of the programming that you see. This includes our accounting office, our budget office, as well as our strategic data and analytics and IT support. It is a centralized administrative network for the department and for our partners. Some of the data analysis, whenever we need to do some updating on applications and really process improvement, that often happens in partnership with both the program area as well as our enterprise operations. At last count a few years ago, our accounting was over 50, for the entire city of Cleveland, over 51% of the transactions are community development. So that is an old statistic that I thought was really interesting, just to really hone in on the volume that we do every year. So we are doing a lot of transactions because we have hundreds of partners, quite frankly, in contracts. Our accounting office coordinates the certification of our contracts, manages our loan portfolio, and processes all payments and reimbursement requests. I have heard I have heard from partners that this process has gotten much better over the years, and we will continue to improve both in terms of our customer service as a team, as well as the IT that helps to support us. Our budget office does what it says it does, which is helping to develop and monitor the department's operating and capital budgets. $28 million is a significant amount of money, so it includes those dollars as well as some of the dollars that we get from the general fund, as well as additional dollars from other grants, whether that's from Living Cities, through Fuse, or whether it's some of our competitive grants that we've been able to get. This manages, these folks manage our budget office. Our budget office has grown by, I believe, 2 additional people this year, and we are currently seeking a budget manager. So that is a live online application. So I will just take a moment to say, if you have anybody who is strong and passionate, strong with numbers and budgets, and is passionate about the work and wants to be a part of this, all of these great things that we've talked about today, please send them my way. And then finally, our strategic data and analytics and IT support. These are all of the calculations for things like slum and blight, really helping to keep us in compliance, other statistics that we need, understanding, the low to moderate income folks, where there are concentrations of need, or and any really data requests that we have. We work in partnership with our main IT as well as Urban AI, and then any kind of just regular daily support that we need happens through this area. So this team is also the team that is doing our everything that needs to come through in terms of contracting and payment comes through these folks. What we don't have on here that I need to mention is that a large portion of what we do is also grant making. We are one of the largest grant makers within the city, and the majority of these dollars that we have go to outside organizations, and we have a host of grant managers that are working on some of our new programs. That's called the Emerging Programs Office. And then we also have legacy programs like our CDC programs that these are a group of folks that help to project manage and are working closely to ensure we are compliant, we get the right paperwork, and that we're getting money out the door. And that does it for our presentation. Happy to take any additional questions, Chairman.
All right, sounds good, thank you. How many staff members is currently in the department overall?
Through the chair, we just added 2. I want to say that we're at 84, but we're somewhere between 81 and 84. We have just hired a few folks. We've had, I don't know, probably 10 or so folks get hired in the past couple of months. So that, and also we have folks that exit, so that number usually hovers in the low 80s. I think we're somewhere around 84, with the majority of them funded through Community Development Block Grant.
Gotcha. And a general administration allocation of $4 million, that's based on the number we were at last year? You kept it the same, or did you reduce the general administration allocation?
Through the chair, it's the same percentage.
Same percentage?
It's the same percentage, and we are, in our admin, we are capped. So the Department of Community Development Block Grant, there is an administrative cap that we have, and so that number is largely capped for us.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, so you asked about 84. And can you, normally we get the listing shows the previous year's staffing levels and by year. That kind of showed us where we were versus where we are now. Can you make sure we get that over to Mr. Titron as
Yes.
well? And I know that well, I'll save that question for last. All right. Any other questions for the director based on what the last few slides that we've heard? Anything? Okay. Well, before we get to CDC, I'm going to pivot. We're not going to do CDC activity grants at the moment. Let's do special population allocations first. ESG and HOPWA funding. We can go into to that discussion. You can start whichever one you want, Director.
Okay. Can you share what page you're?
You said what page?
Yeah.
I'm not looking. I'm looking at the pull out from the 2.2.
Okay.
I'm
Yep.
assuming. Well, I'm looking at 2.2. That looks at the allocation, the 1.8 for ESG and the HOPWA.
Yes.
And who are the recipients for those?
ESG, and you'll have to forgive me, we are down a team member this morning, Joy, Bureau Chief Joy Anderson. So I am pinch hitting for her, so I will do my best to answer some of these questions. But the Emergency Solutions Grant, I believe goes to our partners, I want to say like Eden. Do you have any other insight on some of these programs? These are directly to help fund, it's emergency housing. Yeah, so these are pretty narrow funds that we can use pretty narrowly to support our unhoused population. And so we have some programs. We're also, we put a lot of dollars into the county's continuum of care. That is really the lead on our unhoused services.
Okay. So that's for sure, or that's just we just kind of.
No, that's we put a lot of money into the continuum of care.
Okay. And the same individuals who received the ESG support from last year, that's going to stay the same. I know last year, like Luther Metropolitan, Westside Catholic, and all these Eden and some others received.
Yeah, through the chair, I also believe in, if we can, if my staff I know is listening, if I can get David to check for me. I believe that there is an RFP that's actually active, and we're receiving applications for this program.
Okay.
But there's a narrow group of applicants that is even eligible to receive these funds that do this work.
Absolutely. So I guess this committee will just go off what's in what's in the budget book, and if we have other questions, we can reach out since your person who's not here, who has the for sure answers. Okay. HOPWA is the other special population that we fund as well. And that this year is 2.38, so we had a slight reduction by almost $6,000. And I know that last year we were able to serve almost 600 people. We're estimating this year serving about 400 people. Is that correct, what you have here?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay. And that is also done through, public health, I believe, in the past?
Through the chair, yes. That is managed through an MOU that we
Through public
have,
health,
memorandum of understanding that we have with the health department.
Okay. Is there any reason why the health department didn't join you all today to talk about their participation and, you know, what they've been able to do? Chief?
We did not ask them. I don't think that they were a part of last year's conversation. I'm sure that if we would have given them a heads up, they would have been happy to be here to talk about it.
All right. So my question is because if our other person who handles this wasn't available, maybe having the partner who actually, you know, we have the MOU with to get the dollars out could have came in their place to have, you know, to have discussions about the work they're doing and how they intend to do it. But all right, we'll if anything come up, any questions from the committee regarding HOP or ESG? All right. We'll move on. We'll go to our last category: citywide assistance grants and CDC activity grants. Any comments that you want to add and thoughts? I'm sorry. Citywide grants.
A note on the CDC activity grants, you see that they're,
It's 5.7 and 5.8. You have to get it on your tablet. The larger book is on your tablet. We'll give you time. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Director.
the CDC activity grants, just a note that these are grants that we typically use CDBG dollars, but given our sort of emergency situation, not knowing when the funding was going to come, the general fund actually kicked in around $2 million to help support. So instead of that being CDBG this year, those dollars were general fund, and those have already been allocated out to the CDCs. So that we could give at least the departmental allocation that we typically give each year, that we gave the same amount that we did last year, but we did it in general fund dollars. And so we've already worked with all of our CDCs, our partners, to get those dollars out.
Got it. And just for the committee, the $2 million is not, what do we normally give? 2 million, what is it? 2 million we give normally?
Something
Roughly.
something like that.
That is not budgeted in this CDBG grant proposal because we use general fund dollars this year to support the CDCs versus using these dollars. So for some who may not see it here, that is the reason why it's not here. All right. I just wanted the director to talk about it so that way, you know, if anyone who's listening, council members or in the public, wondering and they're looking at the budget, wonder why it's not here and why we show a $0 amount in the line item that we have on the budget. Okay. All right. The citywide assistance grants. Would you like to discuss those?
Our citywide assistance grants go out. They're not place-based, so they are able to serve folks all throughout the city. Some of our recipients from year to year are groups like senior transportation, which gets a pretty healthy allocation each year. They're helping all of our residents, and other organizations that go across. We've got CHN Housing Partners. We have the Community Housing Solutions, CHS Furnace Program. We have a tool loan program that we fund through this. CHS also does housing counseling. We do work with Cleveland Restoration Society. We are funding ESOP, as well as housing research and advocacy and fair housing, the Legal Aid Society. So all of these kind of large partners, the Northeast Ohio Hispanic Center for Economic Development, Senior Transportation, and Spanish American Committee. They run programs that are available for folks citywide, and that's the biggest difference between this funding pot that goes to more social service agencies versus our other pot, Chairman, which goes to more micro, like local-based organizations. And so that is, that's that pot of funding.
Gotcha. Thank you. And Director, is there a cap on each grant that the organization can receive? Or is it just based on what they apply for and their accomplishments from past years?
There is a process. So again, for stability this year, we mirrored the same dollar amount. We didn't want to, given all of the instability this year, we said whatever you did last year, if you can do that this year, we want you to go ahead and do that this year.
Okay.
So we have a bit of a reduced process just so that we can get as much stability.
Sure.
But typically what happens is there is a request for proposals. We select and we select and then we allocate based on those applications and what those organizations say that they can do. One of the criteria, as you mentioned, is what they did last year with the money that they had.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Harris? I thought you had a question. Okay. Any questions for the committee? Councilwoman House Jones, did you find your place yet?
So I missed like two things. There was, through the chair to the team here, and maybe other people saw this email, it was like some property owner that had sent an email to us about not getting payment for 6 months or something because they were housing, some individuals, and they were saying it was due to city council not passing legislation. But then I'm like, we didn't get the legislation until the end of the month. And I wanted to go through this, but because many times what happens is people always say, well, the administration said council didn't do something. And I'm like, we didn't even have the legislation. And like I said, I just cannot find the email because this new system, this email system it's a challenge. So that was that. But I did, regarding the ESG, and I'm sorry because I was trying to find it and I missed it, regarding the investment to our homeless. How does that work? And does it go to our shelters? Is it going to Home for Every Neighbor? And you probably talked about it, but I really apologize for missing that part of the conversation.
You are all good, Councilwoman. So on 6-1, we talk about the Emergency Solutions Grant, and it talks about how, it talks about the program, how it's Emergency Shelter Grant, and we partnered this past year with Eden, which, and that's, I believe, the email that you're referencing. Journey Center for Safety and Healing, Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry, Lutheran Metropolitan, at one location, Lutheran Metro at another location, the Salvation Army for their work at Zelma George Center, Westside Catholic Center for Mariah House, and the City of Cleveland Department of Aging for their homeless intervention. So that is on 6-1, and that describes the Emergency Solutions Grant. And our partners. I will speak to the payment piece. Given that our program year, and I believe really through the chair, Chairman Harrison really described the process earlier. There was a delay. And so that's what caused it. So what he was talking about at the top of is really the explanation. But another complicating factor is that these programs have been going on since the middle of the summer. Our program year goes from the middle of the summer to the middle of the next year's summer, which is different than all of our other programs, which is why our timing is important here, because folks are often working ahead of time without having the ability to have contracts. And we do need these dollars to be able to expend to get them out. So that is why we're here today, to get these dollars moving out to get to these organizations.
Yeah, so I did hear the number. So through the chair to the director, it was this indicating, and like I said, because I do want to respond to him, I want to find out who he was talking to and who indicated such things. Is we just need to be clear communicators, right? Because clearly there was a disconnect and in some form or fashion where the person was indicating that we were stalling on the legislation and that's the reason why they didn't get their money, which is not the case at all. We're doing what we need to do. So I just am raising up the fact that as we are talking to partners, and we just need to be very clear communicators with people.
And Councilwoman, you're right, because the emails I received says that Eden gave them our emails to reach out to us to push it. So Eden got information from somewhere to tell these folks that it is City Council who's holding this up. Yeah. Well, for the sake of just continue to move things on, I'll leave it where it is in terms of whether it was our burden about whether this is whether we've had some things have taken a while to happen. And again, we're here now, and we're moving forward. Councilwoman, you're right. Just clear communication about really what has taken place over the last few months, and primarily has been just from the federal level down. That is primarily the issue that we've had. And again, having city processes, and you have to do your due diligence on things from the administration and council side. And as soon as we were able to bring it to council in here, we immediately brought it and added on the committee on the Thursday, which is not the day we meet, so that way it can be heard and passed this next Monday coming up. And so. Absolutely, Councilwoman. Yeah, I read some of those emails, and I'm like,
yeah. So this is the thing where
not at all.
Exactly, and it's basically indicating that they've been, providing this money, housing, and they haven't got paid for 6 months, and they've reached out, whatever the case may be, but it indicates Eden. So our community partners need to be very clear when they are talking about people's, advocacy. And I know people need to do advocacy, but in the email is basically indicating that we have delayed for 6 months, and that is not accurate. And so it would be really helpful for administration partners to clearly articulate that this change and delay happened because of the federal government. The federal government. The federal government 100%. That is led and directed by Republicans. That's coming from me. I'm staying in Stephanie House Jones. So, Stephanie House Jones. So while people have all this energy, people need to be registered to vote, and getting real partners who want to actually center our community members and not, and again, I know people are frustrated, but we are doing what we can when we get resources, because we cannot give resources that we don't have.
That's right.
So thank you for all y'all do, though. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Right on point. I agree with you. We can only move as fast as we can when we get it to us, right? The federal government telling us where allocation is until we actually receive that notification, actually can apply for the dollars, right? There's a whole, you don't say, okay, you got 19 million, okay, they drop it in the city's bank account. It does not work like that, right? And instead of some of our partners articulating and sharing that, because some of them are actually facing similar situations with funding that they get directly from other sources, did not happen. And we'll communicate, we'll collaborate with the administration and have those discussions with our community partners about giving correct information and not misinformation, so that way we all can continue to work together in the most harmonious way.
That's right.
Okay.
Chairman, and as I mentioned in my remarks, this has been an incredibly frustrating year for both us at the department level, but also within the industry. There's a lot of unknowns, and a lot of folks are grasping at straws and really trying to do the good work. And what happens when there's not a lot of information to give, sometimes people come up with information and they try to get, whatever they can, and I don't fault them for that. I do want to thank council for allowing us to do the accept and apply and accept that we did earlier in the summertime, which is really the beginning part of this process. But we were not having this conversation as we had in previous years in February or in March or in May or June like we did last year, because we did not know until well into May what funds were going to be allocated. And given the nature of even things that had been allocated, at that time, a lot of things had been being taken back, things that were committed, things that were already contracted out. And so we needed to be very clear that those dollars were going to be available for us before we could spend money. And that puts us in a really frustrating place. We told our partners that if the money doesn't come, we cannot give the money back to you. And so we did preach to them to be cautious this year until they were able to get a contract and not maybe rely that those dollars were going to come either at all or in the same amounts. This has been an incredibly difficult year. Information has been very low this year, and our folks, both within and outside of the department and our partners, have really just struggled, and I understand and hear their frustrations. Try to be as clear as possible with what it is that we need, but we are in a low information and in a very frustrating place as an industry.
Thank you. And I know Mr. Titron himself has he's been very active in communicating with the administration, this body, our external partners as well, including a couple of individuals have emailed us, and I've asked him to give further clarification and just chat with them in detail about where we are. But we're here now and we're making it happen. Councilman Harsh.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll add to what you and Councilwoman House Jones are saying. Whatchamacallit rolls downhill, and at the top of the hill is the federal government, and below them is the state government, and below that is the county government, and at the bottom of the hill is your municipal government. And we look at it all up there happening, and to the director's point, it's interesting that the federal government waited until the last day legally allowable to approve CDBG funding for this year, and had they waited one more day, they would not have had the legal recourse to even approve it. So it's curious, and it should be asked by people, if they were planning to fund it, why wait until the last day to announce the decision? Except for knowing that stuff rolls downhill, and this will just lead to a cascade of problems for all of us in our cities. It reminds me of the current situation going on with SNAP benefits, which have absolutely nothing to do with the federal government being shut down. They are entirely divorced subjects from each other, and the decision not to release SNAP funds is purely political. It is purely intentional. It has nothing to do with the other subject, and it just makes us wonder whether or not the people that have been elected to run this country truly care about all of us. So I'll get off my soapbox and ask a question. I do want to make sure, through the chair to the director, that I understand where the HUD extensions align in the budget. So the lead, high impact, the lead citywide, and the healthy homes. I'm looking at this page here. Are these the three columns of the prior year balances, the citywide assistance grants, the competitive lead grants? Is that those funds right here that we got the extra year on?
Yeah, through the chair, and Danette will more further answer. But those are competitive grants that are outside of the traditional CDBG formula funded process. So those are outside of this group of funds. They are HUD. I know it's a different part of HUD.
So they're not reflected on this balance sheet?
They are not reflected, but to keep things similar to last year, I believe in our overall item, we did include some of those dollars just so that.
Would they be over on one of these? I'm just curious
I will get you the I'll get you the exact line item, but I'll have Danette to.
You covered it. Okay. Because they're on a competitive grant that we won, they are separate. So it's separate funding source. Overarching funding source is still HUD, but it's a separate grant for those three grants.
Okay.
Thank you, but on the,
Yeah.
on your plan, it says CDBG, it says competitive lead grant. So what you're saying is the prior year balance, $11 million that's still sitting there, it hasn't been spent, is not a part of the $19 million that we received.
So in order to be awarded the grant, we had to submit match dollars. So that's what you see here, that there are match dollars that are attached to the grants. So they put in some money and we matched the dollars. For the lead grants, the HIN grant, it was 1.4 million. Total we had to match 5 years ago that we're still spending down. For citywide, it was 800K that we're still spending down, and for HHP, there was no match required.
So this 11 million here represents what on this sheet here,
On the competitive lead
on the
grants.
competitive list? That's what we have not spent. Is that a part of the 19 million? Or previous CDBG allocation, or is that one of the, that's the standalone?
That's the competitive. Those are the standalone,
That's the
those are the three
standalone.
standalone
The
competitive
standalone.
grants.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
And we, what happened is
Those are all
when, we probably should not have included it in previous years, but it looked like there was $30 million missing, so we wanted to account for 11 million of those that weren't on there from last year to this year. That's where that came from. So those are standalone grants that should not be included, but because they were included last year, we wanted to make sure that you saw that they were accounted for.
Okay. Councilman.
No, that was my only question, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, you got it. Thank you. Okay, so maybe next time, let's put maybe like some sort of footnote there and some sort of notation, so that way we know yes, it's HUD, it's our CDBG, it's a CDB allocation. However, it is not a part of our general CDB allocation that we get every year, which this year is $19 million. All right.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions regarding the citywides and the CDC activity grants? Special populations? Okay, we're going to move into our last and final piece, which is our NDA funding. Director?
Through the chair, so our NDA funding is identical in percentage of the total from last year. That represents about 38% of the total amount, which again is the same as last year. That gets divided, and you all may be able to explain it better, but it gets divided amongst the council members. It can only be used for eligible activities, so it has to be CDBG eligible activities, but these are funds that are often awarded to community development corporations, but also other local organizations and other eligible funds. It could be, I believe, like repaving. There are other ways that these funds can be used, and that is at the discretion of the council members, so long as that, the restrictions on that are, of course, due to the source of funds, which is it has to be CDBG eligible, it has to meet a national objective. And in addition to that, there is a cap. I believe it is $75,000 for public services, which is the most flexible version of that pot, and that is because overall there is a cap on administrative and public services.
All right, thank you. And just for the council members, there was a slight reduction. It's from 7.6 last year to 7.4. That's because the overall CDBG budget was reduced, but the percentage was kept the same as we did across the other categories related to CDBG. And any questions from the committee? Well, before we go there, just timing. I know that CDCs, we're most of our signing PIPs now and getting them to the department, but we're coming up on this annual city shutdown. To the chief, really, what is the discussion with your counterparts in the other areas that will partly be responsible for helping to get the money out, such as finance, law, and others, that we can get these dollars out the door to the CDCs before the shutdown happens, and they don't have to be concerned that they won't get a check, for the work they've been doing until February.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I think this has been well articulated here. I think that we are all dealing with a challenging situation that was started from the very top of the federal government that has delayed funds where conversations that would normally happen in February now happening in October. And so, yes, there is the traditional City Hall shutdown on November 7th is the last day to encumber funds. We have spoken at great length with CFO Barrett and let them know the critical nature of these funds. And so I think that, and have spoken quite a bit with Director Hernandez too, whose team is ready to start as those PIFs come in, begin the contracting process, and at the same time the Finance Department is ready to begin getting those out the door. So we are working very hard to make this a reality.
Got it. And so what we're hearing is that there's a commitment
Yes, sir.
within the administration across several departments to not be tied to this strict deadline that we've always had for years because of the challenges that we face from the top down. That we're going to do everything you all can. Council does their part, sign the PIF, and then you all going to make sure they get a contract and get those monies out to these organizations. Correct?
Yes, sir. I have had the experience as one of those organizations on the outside, and I know how challenging it is to work on a reimbursement basis. And that's not just our CDC partners, right? It's partner organizations like Eden that are doing phenomenal work of housing those in the most need. And we know that we have an obligation to help those folks there. It is not our fault on either side of this building of the delays that have been expected, but it is important that we now, work to move things as quickly as possible to help those people that are doing great work outside of this building.
Got it. Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the committee regarding the CDC funding? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask, have we done an analysis of why do we have this November 7th deadline?
It's above me. We got the second in command of council right here, so maybe we'll lean on her.
No, I'm saying, I'm like,
or even administration too. if somebody
Does
wants to
do other cities operate this way?
answer. I don't know. Chief, do we know anybody?
No, I'm being real serious because, like, again, we just, I feel like as council members we need to have a very clear indication what is the problem, because I'm going into this as like I don't know anybody else who operates this way, and the investments that we have made to modernize City Hall, there's an expectation that will be modernized as well. So I just need to,
So through the chairman to Councilwoman House Jones, what I will say, and I have worked with one city for the entirety of my time here. This is a $2.1 billion a year corporation, right? And I'm not going to speak for CFO Barrett, but what I will tell you is that I've had conversations with him, and it's a line of questioning that he has brought up, right? What is the appropriate amount of time that one needs to close out the books, right, to restart things? But again, that is a conversation that is ongoing. I will not speak for the CFO.
yeah, I know. And even as a corporation, do you know businesses that do this? I've never heard of such a thing. So we need to get this question answered in short order before we leave on, winter break, and understand with the investments, because it was real dollars that we have put into modernizing City Hall and technology and all of these things, and there should be an expectation after 2 to 3 years that we should have some updated deliverables as far as being much more efficient and effective with getting dollars out the door. So,
Heard.
Thanks.
Thanks, Councilwoman. Definitely something. When I came from the county council, I didn't understand why we had this shutdown. I still don't understand why. But yes, I think the finance chair, Council President Griffin, our Vice Chair of Finance, Councilwoman Santana sitting here, and all members of council, we will support our leadership and ask them to really dig into working with the administration to figure out this annual shutdown.
And someone coming from the state, I came from the
Yes.
state. The state
Yes.
is significantly larger than the city of Cleveland.
Yes.
And this was never an issue with the state.
Thanks, Councilwoman.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions from the committee regarding the presentation today, CDC activity, and housing trust, residential repair, time allocation, anything? Any questions from the city? I mean, not the city. We all are the city. Any questions from the committee? Nothing. All right. Well, listen, thank you all for your time today. We wanted to have a very abbreviated session this morning to really talk through some of the high points of the work that you all are doing, answer any questions that the committee may have. Any council members who are watching, get your questions and thoughts to Mr. Titron. He will get that over to the administration. That way we can have this teed up for finance on Monday with passage hopefully Monday night, so that way you all can continue to do the work you need to do to get this funding out the door. Once it was given to council, we have done our due diligence, worked back and forth closely with the administration to get us to a point where we are today. I can tell you that you have a chief and you have a mayor, you have his team and others, the department, who truly and really cares about the people of the city and will never, intentionally stall these programs from hitting the streets. That's absurd, right? It's ridiculous. And so, doing everything we can possibly to support the residents who need it the most here in the city of Cleveland. So, thank you all for your time today. Thank you for your partnership and collaboration over the years, and we'll continue to put our best foot forward as we move into 2026. All right? Thank you so much. All right? All right. We do have amendments. My amendment, second chair. Yes, you got some amendments, and I need you to read.
Oh, you need me to read stuff?
Yes, sir. Now, come on now. How you doing? You my guy.
Mr. Chair, I would like to read in front of the class.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to enter the following amendments.
Yes, sir.
First, in the first whereas clause, line 2, after community, insert development. 2, section 3, new section 3, entitled 2025 programs, at the end between ordinance and the period, insert with the entities listed, comma, as described in file number 1225-2025-A. Number 3, in section 3 at new section 4, add CDBG funding in the first column as systematic poverty, youth violence, poverty, and accessibility among elderly, other public servants. Strike systematic and insert systemic. And also in the first column at neighborhood development grants, insert activities after development. Number 4, in section 3 at new section 6 in the second paragraph following division B, line 1, insert C before that. Number 5, in section 3 at new section 8 at division B, line 2, strike 14 SF050 and insert 14 SF051. Okay. Number 6, in section 3 at new section 8 at division C, line 2, strike 15 SF374 and insert 15 SF471. Lastly, number 7, in section 3 at new section 8 at division D, line 2, strike 15 SF375 and insert 15 SF470. Okay, Mr. Chair, with no further ado.
Thank you, Councilman Harris, for the motion and the amendments. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Single discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you so much again. Appreciate your time this morning, you all. We finally come together and got this work completed so we can help those who are needed the most in our community. Ordinance number 1225-2025 as amended stands approved. All right, thank you. DPS adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. No.